Hey guys, it is me again, and I'm in Georgia, about to drop this load at our Albany yard here in about 30 minutes, and thought I'd sit back and I'd make a quick video. I've got some friends that are trying to break into the trucking industry, right? And of course, you know, there was a time when I was trying to break into the trucking industry, and I know how frustrating that can be. You know, you get told no quite a bit, you know, unless you're just that perfect person. You know, of course, I'm not, you know, that perfect person, and you know, so I got told no quite a bit. But I kept on, you know, and I kept on, and I kept on, and I did my homework, and you know, I made some decisions about the companies that I wanted to work for, and you know, and so that's kind of what I want to talk about right now, right? Is doing your homework. All right, now, you know, I've got some YouTube friends, and I've got some Facebook friends that are truckers. I got quite a few trucker friends, you know, and some of them, and I'm not being critical, okay, so don't take it that way. Giving a differing opinion, if you will, okay. Some of them will tell a person to do their homework, all right, before choosing a trucking company. Do your homework. But then they'll turn around and say, don't listen to anybody who says anything negative about that company, because that might not be your experience. And then they'll tell the people that have something negative to say about that company not to say anything negative about that company, because it might influence a person's decision to go work there. Okay? Those are two opposing views. Okay? You can't do your homework without finding the negative on the company that you want to go to work for. All right? Doing your homework is when you're talking about choosing a trucking company, is finding out all of the good things about the company and finding out all of the bad things about the company, and then weighing the two of them to determine whether or not you want to take a chance with that company or not. Because regardless of whether or not some people have good experiences and some people have bad experiences, there are bad trucking companies out there. All right? Some of the major big name corporations, you know, that are running trucking schools are bad companies to work for. Now, I'm not going to name any names, because I made a commitment a long time ago not to run around bashing other trucking companies, and I'm not going to do that. But when I was doing my homework, my research, one of the things that I did was I sought out what drivers had to say about the company that they worked for, either good or bad. And yes, it influenced my decisions, and I'm glad that it did, because it led me to choose a company that very few people had anything really negative to say about. And my experience has been awesome. Okay. But with that said, all right, you can't believe everything negative that you hear, and this is where discernment comes into play. This is where you as an individual have to be able to determine whether or not somebody is saying something out of spite or hatefulness because they just had a bad experience, or whether or not they're relaying information about the company that indicates its normal pattern of operation. Okay. For instance, there are a couple of flatbed companies, and I'm not gonna name them, but there are a couple of flatbed companies that almost universally have a good opinion. Almost everybody has something really good to say about them. You don't hardly hear anything negative, and any negatives that you do hear are just nitpicking type things. All right, but there have been a couple of people who have posted some really, really negative reviews concerning their bad experiences with that company. Well, when you weigh that against all of the positive reviews, then it kind of brings you to the conclusion that this is an isolated event. This is just something that one person had, one problem that one person had. Right? You want to take it, you want to understand what problem he had, and then you want to try to understand why he had that problem, and take it with, a lot of discernment, because more than likely he brought the problem on himself, because everybody else's reviews, everybody else's experience is positive. All right. But when you have a company and you do your research on this company, when you have your company, and everybody has something negative to say about the company, and very, very, very few people have anything positive to say, then you really need to look at the company. Okay. Yeah, you can go there and you can have a good experience, because ultimately, whatever trucking company you go to, wherever you decide to go to work, it's up to you to make or break the experience. Okay. That company's out to make money, and they're going to make money in the best way that they can do so. All right. Some of them treat their workers good, some of them don't. All right. But it's up to the worker, it's up to that person to make the decision on whether or not his experience there is good or bad. For instance, I had a Millis driver, 27 years of experience. He sat down and we were talking while I was broke down. He was broke down also. And we were at a terminal, and both of us were getting repairs done. And we got to, just talking. And he told me that he worked for a company. And I'm not going to name the company, but he worked for a company, and it's a pretty well-known company. It's one of the ones that people look at as a starter company, right? And he had nothing but bad to say about the company, right? I mean, he laid out example after example after example after example of the messed up stuff that they do in that company. And yet he said this, and I was really impressed by this. Right? He laid out all of the negatives about that company, and then he said, I never personally had a problem with it, because I went there and I decided that I was going to make the best out of the company. And he said it took everything I could do to do it, because it was a really bad place to work, but I ended up with good miles, I ended up with good money, and I put up with their stuff as long as I could put up with their stuff, and then I moved on. He said I never had a problem one out of it, but he relayed everything that he saw in the 2 or 3 years that he worked for that company. He relayed everything that he saw, and none of it was good. And I would never go to work for that company, because he's not the only person that has relayed that negative information. All right, now let's say that I want to go to work, and or let's just say, for instance, that I want to go to a restaurant. I want to eat. Well, I'm going to look at the reviews. If there's mixed reviews and half the people have something good to say and half the people have something bad to say, I may give it a shot. But if all the reviews are negative, I'm not going to go eat there. Okay? Because when everybody is saying the same thing, more than likely you can guarantee it's true. So that doesn't mean that you have to go for that. There's a starter company out there, and it's fairly accessible. It's one that I would adamantly tell you to stay away from. Okay, I've done a lot of research on the company. I haven't found much of anything good to say about it, but it was one that I was going to consider as a final shot. If I couldn't make anything happen anywhere else. Luckily, I got on with Millis, and I didn't have to do that. But it's, they'll hire anybody. Doesn't matter what your background is. Yeah, they don't discriminate. And they're horrible to work for, from all accounts. But if you're breaking into the industry and you don't have any choice, then go ahead and go for it. But go for it with your eyes open. Okay. Distancing yourself from negative information is like putting on blinders. It's like putting on blinders and walking in and jumping in head first. You might as well not do your homework at all. Just pick a company and jump in there. If you don't want to know anything negative about the company, if you're willing to walk into a company and go into work for them as a career, going in to work for them without having any clue about the negative things that go on to that company, well, then you might as well not do any research. Just start putting in applications for companies and take whatever you get and be happy with it. Make the best out of it. Don't do your homework on why do your homework. You don't want to hear anything negative about it, you know. But if you hear all the negative about a company, you hear all the positive about a company, and you balance the two, and you say, okay, well, this company is known for doing this right here, and I don't really like that all that much, but I'm going to give them a shot anyway. Then you walk in there with your eyes wide open. You walk in there with your eyes wide open. You have the responsibility then, knowing the situation before you walked into it, you have the responsibility to make the best out of it. All right? In Millis, the big negative in Millis transfer is the dash cams. All right, the dash cams is an explosive issue in Millis transfer because they got driver-facing dash cams, they got forward-facing dash cams. The drivers don't like them. You know, we've had a lot of drivers quit after our annual and quarterly safety bonus. Some of them, you know, quit because of dash cams. Some of them quit because of some other issues. But I knew about the dash cam issue when I came into work for Millis before I ever started because I did my research. It's the big negative, okay? I looked at it, I said, yeah, well, you know, let me research the dash cams now. And I spent a lot of time researching the dash cams. I decided it wasn't a deal breaker, something I could deal with, something I can put up with. Hey, I got dash cams here in my truck. You know, I don't like it. I didn't like the idea when I first applied for Millis, you know, but I came into Millis understanding that they're there and understanding the potential that the company can look in on me and see what I'm doing at any given time, and I don't care. I make the best out of it. Right? Maybe it makes me a better driver. Maybe I'm a little bit more aware of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. I don't know. You know, I can say that. It makes me feel good about having the you know, accepting the dash cam. Whether it's true or not, it's a whole different issue. But the bottom line is that I walked into Millis with my eyes wide open. I knew the dash cams were going to be in my truck. I don't have a right saying anything about it because I came into it, and now it's my responsibility to make the best out of having a dash cam in my truck. Now, you know, no big deal. I'm going to keep on rolling. So if you're going to go to work for somebody and you want to talk about doing your homework, well, do your homework. Do your homework. Don't be scared to find the bad information. Don't be scared to find the negative information. But be discerning about it when you do it. All right, be discerning about the information that you find, understanding that some people can, you know, a person can get on the internet and type anything. You know, they can get on the internet and they can say anything about any company at all. Doesn't make it true. All right, so you get on there and you say, okay, well, this person, you know, may have had a bad experience and this person's just nitpicking, but all these other people have so many great things to say about it. You know, so when you do your homework and you try to determine what company you want to break into trucking with and what company you want to start with, seek out the bad information. That's what you want to know. You want to know what kind of BS you're going to have to put up with during your trucking career. That's what you're going to want to know. All right, and don't hide from it, you know, because you're going to need to know it. But don't just seek out bad information. Seek out the good information also. Seek out the information that's going to balance the bad stuff. You know, seek out the information that says, you know, well, look at all these good things that they've got going on with them right here. You know, that bad stuff there ain't got nothing compared to all this good stuff right here, and run with it. You know. Man, I push people.
In 3/4 of a mile, take exit on right to US 82 East.
I push people all the time to choose Millis Transfer. Why? Because I believe in Millis Transfer. I believe it's a good company. So I'm not just here because they accepted me. I'm here because I wanted to be here, and I still want to be here. It's a good company, and so that's why I push people to come to Millis Transfer. If you can get in with Millis Transfer, come on in. Hey, you know, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I get a bonus if you use my name as a reference. So use my name as a reference. You know, I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna try to get people to, you know, come sign up with us. But you know, don't just take my word for it. You know, get on there and start doing your research. You know, hey, there's a website called thetruckersreport.com. www.thetruckersreport.com, and they've got a subform on there called the Inside Scoop. They list pretty much every trucking company that you can think of on there. All right, and you know, and they put the good and the bad
on right.
You know,
to US 82 East.
They've got their favorite trucking company column. They've got the worst trucking company column. You know, they've got a column for Prime and Snyder and Millis and Swift and Pam and you know, you name it. You know, there's a column there for it. Get on there and do your research. You know, you're going to hear from people who work there, people who drive for those people. You're going to hear from people that have experience day in and day out with the equipment that they're driving, with the trailers that they're pulling, with the paychecks that they're getting, with the dispatchers that they're dealing with, you know, or you know, load managers, or you know, drive managers, or whatever it is that you want to call it with whatever company that you're at. You know, they've got the experience. They're the ones that have dealt with it day in and day out. So go there and look at it. Don't be afraid to find bad information. You know, as a matter of fact, you want bad information. Anybody that walks into a job blindfolded without knowing both the good and the bad is setting themselves up for failure and disappointment. Right? At the same time, if there's somebody that's just bashing a company, you got to ask yourself what their motivation is for bashing it so bad. You know, if I leave Millis, I don't have anything bad to say about Millis. If I have a bad experience, I may relay the bad experience, but I'm also going to relay all the good stuff. You know, because they've been good to me. They've been good to me. They gave me my start. You know, they've been the company that, you know, that I got started with. They're the company that I want to stay with.
Continue on US 82.
So, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna be all, you know, negative if I leave and go somewhere else because they're a good company. You know, but you know, if somebody is just bashing a company, they have nothing good at all to say about it, then you got to use discernment. You know, discernment is this ability to determine truth from falsehood. Okay, so you've got to be able to look at it with a little bit of discernment. You've got to be able to say, you know, I hear what this guy's saying, I understand what this guy's saying, but I don't think that he's telling the whole truth. Okay. Or you've got to be able to look at it and say, you know, man, that dude there, you know, he's got his stuff together and he knows what he's talking about. Maybe I ought to be careful. You know, you got to use discernment. And then if you still choose, even knowing the bad about a company, if you still choose to go to work for them, then when you walk into that place and you go to work for them people, it's your responsibility going there knowing the negative things that have been said, to walk in there with an open mind, making the best of the opportunity that you've got. You know, that's where it comes into your attitude. Your attitude is going to make all the difference in the world. If you're walking into a company that has a negative reputation and they've got a lot of negative things that have been said about the company, you know, you walk in there, you know that there's a tense environment. You know that there's a possibility that you could have the same experiences. So take steps not to have those experiences. Take steps to run harder. Take steps to run smarter. Take steps to be more polite. Take steps to go that extra mile, you know, so that you can deal with the issues that come up before they become an issue, so that the company will look at you and say, hey man, this guy's different than all the other yo-yos we've been dealing with. You know, this guy's really got his stuff together. This guy's really trying to push hard. You know, this guy's really trying to do us a good job. Let's get off of him and give him a little bit of a better time. And then maybe you could go in and you can say, you know, hey, I got a review on X company over here. You know, everybody said all this bad stuff about it, and I've had a great experience. You know, I mean, I've gone in there and I've said, you know, I've done things this way, and I've been treated with nothing but respect, and so on and so on and so on. You know, and give that good review out there for the next new guy to come in and look at and say, you know, hey, these bad reviews are there, but this guy's doing good. You know, this guy made it. You know, what can I do to be like this guy? All right, so. You know, the guy or the people that are saying not to say anything negative and not to give any kind of a negative review, and if you guys see this video, then I'm not ragging on you, man. I understand what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, and you know, to a point, you know, I get it, you know, but you know, I've been in this workforce for you know, a long time, man. I mean, I'm 45 years old. I've been working since I was 12. You know, I've been in this workforce my whole life, and you know, and I've chosen several different careers. You know, and you know, I've had to choose, you know, who to work for and you know what company to go with, and I know from experience that if you put on blinders and you walk into a company thinking everything's going to be roses because you didn't bother to find out the bad things that are going on, that you're setting yourself up for a very, very unhappy experience. You know, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to go into a company and you want to walk into that company understanding the negative things that can happen, and then you want to take action to make sure those negative things don't happen. All right. So now I'm not trying to rag on y'all, and I'm not even trying to undermine y'all, man. You know, I mean, I get it. I'm not going to say anything about it, you know, on y'all stuff. I just want to give an opposing viewpoint and make sure that people know that there is a benefit to researching and doing your actual homework without blinding yourself to information out there that can impact, you know, your whole career choice. Last thing I'm going to say on the subject is that I've got a friend of mine. Loosely a friend of mine. He's a friend on Facebook, and we've talked a little bit. He wanted to get into the trucking industry, and this was, you know, a little bit before I started doing videos. So, you know, I didn't really talk to him a whole lot about any decisions that he was making. But he chose to go with a company that I knew had a really bad reputation. Of course, he didn't ask me about it, and I didn't offer an opinion. I usually don't offer an opinion unless somebody asks me. Anyway, he didn't ask me about it, and I didn't offer an opinion. He got accepted into their school, and he completed their school, and he got out over the road, and he completed over the road. He got into his truck, and from the minute that he went into the school, he started complaining. He started laying out all the things that were messed up. He got into the truck and he started laying out all the things that were messed up with his trainer and his experience. He got into the job itself, and he started listing all the things that were messed up about the job and the things that were going on. And to give the guy a little bit of credit, and if he sees this video, he'll know who I'm talking about. But to give the guy a little bit of credit, he honestly tried to make the best of it. But he walked in blind. He didn't do any homework. He didn't understand the situation that he was going into. He didn't know how the company operated. He didn't know that he wasn't a good fit for that kind of company. And it left such a bad taste in his mouth that within less than 2 months of being a driver in his own truck, he quit the industry completely and went back to work for somebody else. And this is a guy that was so excited about getting into a truck and so excited about driving, you know, that he and I did a lot of talking when I was in school, when I was doing my training, you know, and you know, we were just bouncing stuff off of each other. And, you know, now I don't hardly ever hear from him at all anymore.
In 1 mile, take exit 3 on right to US 82 East.
I don't know where he is or what he's doing, you know. I know it ain't in trucking anymore because he didn't do his research, and he walked into a company that wasn't a good fit for him, and he walked into it blind. All right, and he didn't last. You know, and yeah, you can say that, you know, trucking ain't for everybody. You know, some people just can't make it and all that kind of stuff. But I honestly think this dude could have made it. I think that he could have done good. I think he could have enjoyed the trucking lifestyle if he had chose a company that was better fit for his needs. He didn't do so. He chose a company that had a really bad reputation. And, you know, he didn't know anything about the reputation when he chose it. So I'm going to leave that at that.
Take exit 3 on right to US 82 East.
I'm not going to say much more about it. You know, that's my opinion. That's the way that I view this whole subject. I believe that before you go to work for a company like this, before you invest your time in training, and before you, you know, put forth, you know, all this.
In 1/4 mile,
effort,
turn left on Clark Avenue.
Possibly money into, you know, into a career. I think that you should go into it completely eyes wide open, understanding the whole situation that you're getting into, and both the good and the bad. And you make the decision once you know both the good and the bad, whether or not you want to accept the bad
Turn
and make
left
the best out
on
of it.
Clark Avenue.
If you don't, if you go into this situation and then you don't, knowing what you're getting into, and you don't make the best out of it, then you don't have anybody to blame except for yourself. You're the only
In
person
1.5
that you can
miles,
blame
turn left on
for
Cordial Road.
allowing yourself to go into a situation that you knew in advance and not making the best out of it. Because honestly, and this is where I absolutely agree with these guys, okay? Honestly, it's up to you to make the best out of whatever job that you end up taking. You can go with a bad company and have a great experience, okay? You can go with a bad company and you can have a great experience, and it's up to you. It's how you look at it. It's how you approach the situation. It's how you deal with the people that you interact with. It's how you take care of your equipment. You're the only person that can be held responsible for your experience. And so in that sense, I absolutely, completely agree with what these guys have to say, okay? And just because somebody else had a bad experience with a company doesn't mean you're going to have that same experience, okay? I agree with that. But I also, and this is where I disagree, I don't think you should hide from that information. I think you should embrace that information, and I think you should go out of your way to find out both the good and the bad, so that you
In
go into
3/4 of a mile, turn
completely
left on
understanding.
Cordial Road.
Let's drop that subject. You can agree or not agree. If you don't agree, or if you agree, it doesn't matter. Whichever one, put some comments down there. Tell me why you agree. Tell me why you don't agree. If you've if you've been the type of person that has gone into a job without looking at the good and the bad, let us know what happened with it. Maybe you made the best of it. Maybe things went sour for you. Let us know. What happened there. And then of course, like, share, subscribe. I do appreciate it. I'm coming up here in just a minute. I'm coming up on the Albany terminal. Okay.
Turn left on Cordial Road.
And so I am going to turn this around here in just a second. Let me make this turn here. And then I'm going to turn this around so that you can see the terminal, the Albany terminal, as we come into it. Alright. Hold on, I'll go ahead and stop here because I just lost my green light. Which means now I can turn it. Alright, let's get a road view here. It doesn't look like I'm going to be making a turn on this light, so we'll sit here until it turns again. So just be patient with me. I know the video's gone on fairly long. We'll have it done here in just a second, and then you can give me or you can see the terminal, and then we'll shut it down and go on about what we're doing. So today's been a decent day. Not really good, not really bad. I've made a lot of good miles. Over the last 2 days, I'm sitting at 997.9 miles right now. I've done that in 2 days, so I've still got